Moving to Seattle can be extremely confusing because it's a rather large place to live, but I can make it very simple. And the way I can do that is by opening up a map and showing you exactly what you need to know. Now, in this video, we're going to go over everything from the best neighborhoods in Seattle and also the best suburbs in terms of how close they're going to be in proximity to Seattle, so you can gauge that to yourself. Now, of course, each of these areas are going to have different types of budgets and price points, so this is going to be more relevant information to see if this is going to fit within your budget and also your goals on how you want to live. My name is George Rodriguez. I am a realtor here in the state of Washington, where my team helps you move to Seattle and all its surrounding areas, whether if you want to buy, sell, invest, or relocate here to the area. I have all my contact information here down below. If you need to call, text, or even email, we will reach out to you to assist you in the best way that we can. If you haven't already, do not hesitate to hit that like and subscribe button and the notification bell down below so you can be notified every single time that I post a video, which is going to be every single week. Let's begin today by opening up a map and going over 4 things that are going to be very important to you, which are going to be commuting, neighborhood, things to do, and also the budget experience in terms of each area you're looking in. So let's give you a grander view over the overall when you're taking a look at public transport when you are going to be commuting here in the Seattle area. So let's zoom in a little bit. We have Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma down here in the lower end, as well as Everett up here above. The main reason why I'm going to bring up Everett is because it's kind of shown a good little bit on the soundtransit.org maps for your local transportation. So the reason why I showed you the map, because they do have a broader view and kind of a shrinking of the current service that they're going to be offering for public transportation. Now with that, you're going to have to pay good attention to the Link Light Rail, because honestly, they're taking all of our money to pay for the expansion on the light rail to help out with the transportation woes that does occur here in this area due to the traffic that we do have in King Pierce County. In this area, I want you to pay attention to the bus numbers, because these lines are going to be corresponding with the numbers that are going to be present next to it. Now with that, you're going to take that number and you're going to go ahead and put it into the soundtransit.org route scheduler. So let's say you're going from Puyallup to Seattle. Now they're going to have all the pickup points showing right here if you want to zoom in on the map and actually take a look in terms of where you're going to be getting picked up or dropped off. But the nice thing is when you go to find schedule, they do a nice job in terms of scheduling. Showing you the schedule on the day corresponding, as well as the time frames that they're going to be there. Now, the one thing I do like to show is that on the website itself, that they are going to have the alert showing on terms of the scheduling of the arrivals. So that's pretty nice in terms of transportation that you can obviously see. So with that expansion on the bus lines and all the routes involved, now we can kind of take a look on how you're going to be driving if you're going to be using a vehicle instead, because not everyone lives within the city ends up using a lot of these bus routes. For example, when you're living in Tacoma, Pierce County, you're going to have 2 different options to actually travel through. You're going to have I-5 that'll travel up north, and you're going to have 512, which is a little freeway going to 167. For example, if you're going to be traveling to Seattle from Tacoma, with this route that's going to Seattle from I-5, with this one route that goes through this portion of the Pierce County, Tacoma area, not everyone lives on that portion that's going to be taking I-5, and that's plan A when you're going to be actually driving through them. These routes may not be as friendly in terms of a crash happening or a delay. So let's going to show you a different route, which is going to be 167. So now with 167, a lot of times you can either take 512 that'll go into 167. You can either take it this way, or if you live through Puyallup and you're actually going and cutting in through this way, going to be an alternative route for you if you're going to be traveling up to Seattle and or Bellevue. Once you're traveling this way, you do have a choice, because if this either merges back into I-5, or you can take I-405 to be able to get to Bellevue, Redmond, Kirkland, or how have you, if you're depending on wherever you're working or traveling. So if you decide and you want to take this to Bellevue, you're going to be taking I-405. So it is nice in the fact that you can take 2 different interstates to be able to get you to your goal and destination of actually getting to the city. There is no way around traffic. It is going to come. Traffic, if you're not very familiar around this area, really does begin around, like, I want to say 6:30 to 9, and then it really picks up around like 2:45, 3-ish till all the way to 6, 7. That is something you're going to be seeing. Now, like when you're traveling, for example, let's go furthest above than I personally say. Let's you're traveling from Everett to go down to the city. Now, same thing with Everett, you're going to have I-5 that corresponds and comes down, but also you're going to have I-405 that'll travel down through Kirkland, Redmond, Bellevue to be able to get to this section. And if you want to go back and go to I-5, you're going to have that same option as you did before to take I-5 and go down to Seattle. So the nice thing that you can see here in this map is that you have 2 different options to be able to travel, whether it be if you're going north-south or if you're going south to north. So it is nice that you're going to have those 2 different options to actually go north or south depending on where you're going to be living. Let's say you want to go outside, you want to go to the beach. Okay, we don't have beaches like California. We don't have sand. We have rocks, a little bit of a mixture. So now with Alki Beach, it's gonna be one of the main locations for you if you're trying to get your water views on. Of course, you're gonna have Alki Avenue right here, as well as Beach Drive Southwest. There's a little bit of sand, but not too much. Now, if you're trying to get some good nature views, you want to take, for example, let's say you're going I-405, and you want to take I-90. Let's say you're taking I-90 down because you want to go to Rattlesnake Ledge. You're going to take I-90 going all the way down to North Bend. When you go down to North Bend, that's where a lot of you're going to see all these Instagram reels, Instagram posts, and whatnot of your favorite person out there traveling to go to Rattlesnake Ledge. Now, there's a lot of additional views that you're going to get in terms of what the Pacific Northwest has to offer for hiking, the trails. If you want to hug a tree, that's probably where you're going to end up. Now, if you're further south, right? Let's say you're further south. Let's just say you love rifles, guns, you want to just go out there and shoot. Oh, I'm going to give you a little plug. Now, for example, you're going to go past Enumclaw. Now, if you're wondering where's Enumclaw at, look, I'm going to need you to zoom in on with your eyes, go like this. Enumclaw is right here. You're going to take 410 and you're going to take yourself down to Greenwater. Greenwater has a open range ran by the state. Bring whatever you got. You got your rifles, you got your registered, shotguns, whatever you got, you can shoot outside. Now, so this can be one good option for you in terms of if you're trying to get out and do a different activity that you really can't do up north. So breaking it all down, honestly, there's different types of life in terms of quality of life and how you want to live in different areas. When you're taking a look at the map, Pierce County lives different than King County. It's kind of split up in two different sections, but let's explain Pierce County first. So now this is Pierce County. Pierce County lives a little bit different in terms of what you can expect for a neighborhood. With Pierce County, they live different, meaning there's different types of living. Whereas a higher end living, or kind of a cleaner living, in my personal opinion, you're going to have the northern portion of Tacoma right there on Ruston, the west end, even Furcrest, University Place. Right around here as you get closer to the water, this is really the type of living that, you're really going to get a higher end portion. Whereas like the average median price point here, I would say around, you can get here in like the high sixes, but to really get something decent that you're really going to like enjoy in terms of how, I can't say enjoy, everyone's feelings are different, but really it's around 700 to 750 is kind of like where you're going to get something decent in comparison to everywhere else. Now, this portion of Tacoma lives pretty good. Furcrest, nice area as well. Now, a different portion, Tacoma, which does get a little bit more affordable, is when you start getting into these portions right here on South Tacoma, curling in, going over to the east side. This portion right here is going to be a little more of the cost friendly. You're gonna be spending around, you can get in here around 40, 450, but you can really get something at 400,000 in this area if you're gonna be choosing to live here. This is probably the more cost efficient area within Pierce County. And same thing, things get a little bit different, more of a white picket fence type feel. You're gonna have South Hill, Ording, Bonnie Lake. They have a different, more of like a quality of living that's a little bit different, like what you see on the TV shows. Military base, military land out this way. That's where a lot of the military service members are going to be. So things kind of change in terms of different aspects. So you have 700 right here. I can't draw out here. 450 around here, 455. Because of course most of the service members do live in places like Lakewood, Steilacoom, Spanaway, decent areas. Now, this is going to be this section for breaking up in Pierce County. Now, when we're taking a look, the reason why I say this, the King County is kind of split up in two different sections, in my personal opinion, is because when you're talking about King County, it really tends to change price point wise when you get different portions, meaning so price points really start to change before you hit, I would say, here. Don't get me, it's still expensive, you still get hit. So right here, in terms of Auburn, Federal Way, Kent, I would say Covington's on the cusp of like almost breaking out to what Seattle is, in my personal opinion. So with these ranges, you can kind of get here in the 550s, getting close to sixes. Auburn has a lot of new construction, and there's a lot of businesses out that way, like corporations, but they have a lot of the bigger homes for a bigger family. Federal Way, they have some new construction, but not too much, are kind of like a more developed and kind of like an older area because there's not much land out this way. Dash Point, Browns Point, beautiful area to be in if you're going to be choosing to live by the water. Of course, that's when your price points do the change, getting closer to, high sevens, low eights. And then going into Kent, the same price point that you're going to see over here in the Federal Way area, which is going to be probably around the sevens, kind of get here. But those are all different areas. Covington, I kind of consider it like a Puyallup, where it's kind of like a white picket fence area. You still can get more for your money out that way, but you're going to be in the high sevens, low eights to get into Covington. So with that, going up to the third section, in my opinion, when you start talking about King County, it's going to be a little bit above. When you get into this portion, you're looking at 900,000 kind of just to be somewhere decent. High 8s starting. Here, Magnolia and Queen Anne, that's $1 million plus. Beautiful area. You're gonna have some of the best schools in the entire state here in Queen Anne. Queen Anne has a view of with Belltown with the Space Needle. So you have Pike Place Market down here in this way right here. Beautiful. You mean you have South Lake Union right here. That's gonna have more of your condos, your apartments type downtown living style. Capitol Hill, that's more of like the younger crowd. Capitol Hill is gonna have the same thing, those condos type places, those older style homes. You're not gonna find any new construction out this way. Ballard, but I mean same thing. You're still kind of in Seattle. Fremont's good too. Fremont's cool, but this area right here, this one's still probably like 900s in the millions. But yeah, those are two areas. So these four are probably pretty decent areas for you to consider when it comes to kind of living styles, and they all have really, really good schools when it comes to it. Now, when you're going over to Bellevue, in my opinion, it's kind of changed. But to me, I've always considered it like a cleaner version of Seattle. Not to me, Bellevue has always been kind of like a different type of living because it's not as city as Seattle and doesn't have as many people, but it's still like city. With that, when it comes to Bellevue, I mean, a lot of the same price points that you're going to be seeing over here is really the same thing you're going to be seeing on this section. So that's why I break it into that form, because really things start to change when you get into this section. And for those that are wondering, you do have your airport going to be located right here. You can choose to travel within, which you're going to when you decide to come move over here to visit me as I show you homes. No, so that is going to be section 3. Section 4, people do tend to think that if I live past Seattle, if I live past all of these downtown areas, does it get cheaper? Quick answer, no, it does not. It does not get cheaper when you decide to live past, for example, Seattle. It's like really the cheap, I don't even want to say cheap, but the price points really go like this. When it comes to your price points, option 1 is going to be Tacoma right here. Option 2 is going to be the lower portion of further you go, it gets even cheaper. So option 1, Olympia, which is the capital. Olympia Lacey is going to be the lowest portion. The center to the east side is going to be the most affordable, but it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5, and 6. That's really going to be like your cheapest options in terms of how it's really going to flow when it comes to actually living here in terms of cost of living overall. People may ask, well, George, we have this body of land that we always like to speak about in Pierce and King County, meaning once we cross over to the bridge and we pay the toll and get into Gig Harbor. Well, when you're talking about Gig Harbor, the life tends to change. It gets a lot more quieter. There's less people. And honestly, there is a pretty nice living in terms of when you're going past the bridge living this way. And oftentimes you can take the ferry to cross and get into Seattle. So life tends to get a little bit quieter when you're living here in this section. And I mean, I don't need to draw a big circle over here to your right to tell you that life gets really quiet when you live out all the way over here, you know? And things do get cheaper when you live out that way, and you kind of get a sense of the quietness of what is possible when you get further away from the city, the suburbs, and you get further out. So I mean, it doesn't take much to explain to you that way, but honestly, when you start to kind of equate what life can be outside of the main body of land, really you do get that quieter type of lifestyle that really a lot of people do yearn for and kind of still want. And yes, it is still possible. You just got to go a little further away. But of course, now the question is like, are you going to be traveling into Seattle to make that money, or Redmond or Bellevue, or you can be working in Tacoma? So kind of just really depends on if you work a remote type job where you can live further away, that kind of dream is possible. Not saying you can't make money out here, but there's not as much to be made when you're living here closer to the city. So there you have it. That's gonna be everything you need to break down living in Seattle in its regions in this area. Now, with that, breaking down Pierce and King County above in Seattle and actually breaking down different sections of price point and corridors and qualities of living, I mean, it's pretty helpful. But if you have any more questions, my contact information is going to be on the screen. So if you need me to do this with you, or if you're on the phone to actually break it down even further of where you're interested in living, reach out. Don't hesitate. Until next time, you take care.